It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege of interviewing the Winnipeg Wesmen's head men's volleyball coach, Coach Chris Voth. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you want to get started in coaching in college men's volleyball?
I wasn't actually sure that was the route that I was going to take. I was coaching in Europe for a couple of years, and it just so happened that an opportunity came up in my hometown, and I thought that it was the right moment to move back and be with family and friends.
What was that experience like for you going to college and playing collegiate volleyball at Manitoba?
At Manitoba, it was good. I was there with my sister, and so we'd go to school together every day, take the same classes. Volleyball-wise, I didn't think that our team did as well as I was hoping. I was hoping that we would do a little bit better. But it was a good experience, and I'm still friends with a lot of the guys that I was there with back then, and so that's pretty great to reflect back on those memories and relive those experiences.
How's that feeling like getting to put on that jersey and representing the college?
It was good. When I was growing up, I played for the club team that was based out of the University of Manitoba, and I looked up to those guys a lot. And so when I finally got to be in that dressing room and put on that jersey, it was a really special moment. It was something that I was looking forward to since I was a little kid, and I'd always go watch the games of our two local teams, and was just thought that they were awesome. So to be able to put on that jersey and play on that court, I thought was really cool.
Coming out of college, what was that experience like playing professional volleyball?
It was a little nerve-wracking. I wasn't sure really how I would do. Back then, there weren't a lot of videos online, so the level of the leagues were unknown to me. And so I went over to Netherlands, where one of my best friends had played the year before. And so I spoke to him a lot about that experience and tried to get some tips and have him calm my nerves a little bit for how I would do and how I would stack up against the other players in the league. But it was a great experience. The team was super helpful and welcoming, and I was able to kind of showcase my abilities. But yeah, it was nerve-wracking. Everything was new. It was my first time going to Europe and playing, and so I had no idea what to expect. I remember that when I got off the plane, they gave me a train ticket, and I didn't know which train to take. I had no Wi-Fi or data, and I didn't know how to get on the train, and I didn't know when to get off. And I just so happened there's two trains, and one of them you need to transfer, and one of them you don't. And I just so happened to take the one that I did not need to transfer. But if I had to, I don't know. Maybe I'd still be lost somewhere in Netherlands trying to figure out where to go. Yeah, once I got there, they took care of me. They showed me the ropes, and I'm really thankful for that.
Of course, after your playing professional time, what was it like getting into coaching and coaching the Canada Next Gen?
It was also a little uncertain. I wasn't sure what path I was going to take. Right when I stopped playing, I went back and finished my bachelor degree to become a phys ed teacher. And I thought that was probably the route I would take, or maybe get another degree and pursue something else. I wasn't sure. But an opportunity came up where I started coaching college, and did that for one season. The team got a lot better. We weren't very good, but they got a lot better. And then I got an offer from my old team in the Netherlands to go back and assistant coach with them. So I thought that would be a great opportunity. And then once I started doing that, then I started working with the Next Gen team, and yeah, everything just kind of fell into place. So it was serendipitous with how things worked out, but I wasn't sure that was the route that I was going to take. But I just had an open mind and kind of rolled with the punches, and then ended up here.
What was that experience like going to Red River College and being the head coach there?
It was interesting. The team didn't have a lot of returning players, so I didn't really know what to expect. But I was back home in Winnipeg, and all the guys were super bought in. So that made it a lot easier. I think it was a big difference from the previous year. I introduced a couple new things, had them working out. They were super stiff the first couple months, but they improved a lot, and I think we had a really great season.
Coming to Winnipeg Wesmen, what was that feeling like being the head coach and stepping onto the volleyball court?
It was a little surreal. I was really good friends with the previous coach, and he had been here for a couple decades. So yeah, it felt like that I needed to continue on the traditions that the previous coach had set, and he established a really great program with a really great culture. So I wanted to just continue those things and then add my own little spice onto it. So yeah, it was quite the experience, I think, switching from going from Europe and then coming back to Canada, and then especially being at the other university that I didn't attend when I was in university, even though I did, drop in and help coach in some practices and made donations to the team and stuff like that. But just, I think, getting the torch passed from a good friend of mine and mentor, the previous coach, made it a really fun experience, and I hope that I can continue on with the traditions that he set.
Of course, how was that feeling like passing over the torch from the previous coach that has had long decades into the program?
It was fun. Like I still leaned on him quite a bit and would still ask him a lot of questions. I would always joke that it would have been easier for him to just do another year than to answer all the questions that I had, because the first couple of weeks there were a lot of things coming up and I wasn't sure. But I was also fortunate that there's other great coaches here that could help me out whenever I had a question. There's Phil Hudson, the women's coach, who I had played against in high school and always have had the utmost respect for. And then there's Mike Rainbow, the men's basketball coach, who's also a very successful coach and has a lot of great insights. So I think having those three really helped me, especially in the first couple of weeks and months. And hopefully they can keep helping me for the next couple of years.
What was that feeling like for you stepping onto that volleyball court as a head coach?
It was nerve-wracking. Coming from Europe, I felt like I always had distance from all my social circles, and anything that happened, no one would know. If we had a bad game or something, no one would know, and there wasn't so much pressure. It was unfortunate, and I wouldn't feel great about it, but I definitely feel that coming home and having all my friends and family come to all the games, it's a different type of pressure, and it's cool for sure, but normally I would only have my parents or my family come out for one or two games in the season, not every game, and everyone knowing how the team is doing. So it's a different pressure, but I think it's good. The guys are doing amazing, and I'm super thankful that they're pushing themselves and that we've been able to accomplish what we have so far.
You talked about, of course, the culture that you started to build for the Winnipeg men's volleyball program.
The team here has always had a really strong culture, and it's always been hardworking and being gritty and pushing all the time. And so that's something that I try and preserve. I think that's really important for the program, and it's, I think, really good for the alumni and the supporters to see that despite our success, they still get down in the trenches and they get dirty when they need to and are not afraid of hard work. So that's something that I really value, and I think the guys have been doing amazing at.
Who are some of the teams in your conference that you compete against?
It's a pretty big conference, actually. We're part of Canada West, so there's 13 teams, but they have an unbalanced schedule now, so we only play 10 of those teams every year. So this year we didn't play the University of Alberta and Trinity Western University. We'll always be playing the teams that are close in our geographical region. So we'll always be playing Brandon University, University of Manitoba, and the University of Saskatchewan. And those are all really strong teams, so it's great that we get to have those rivalries. Yeah, every team, every game is difficult in this league.
What is that home game atmosphere like when teams like Brandon comes to home versus going to Saskatchewan?
It's always fun playing teams who are close by. They bring a lot of fans, and it produces a lot of excitement during the game, and there's a lot of tension. So it's nice, I think, to have those rivalries and to have those games against our close teams. But every game is tough, so it's just one of those things, I guess.
As a head coach, what are some of your game day routines and rituals to prepare for game day?
Preparing for games, I do a lot of video, trying to analyze what the other team, what their tendencies are. On game day itself, I like to go for sushi. So we have a sushi place across the street that I like to go to. But I try not to have too many rituals. I don't want there to be like superstitions that if I don't do this, then our team won't play well, because then my whole day will just eventually over years get filled up with things. So I try not to have things set in stone that I need to do, because I think it then turns into too much of a hassle and it kind of is distracting. So I try to not have superstitions, but I do use the excuse to go for sushi when I can.
What does the recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes, and as head coach, what do you look at in that?
The number one thing for a recruit, I would say, is character. And so that's one of the first things I would look for. When athletes are in grade 11 and 12, obviously they're not quite ready to compete at the highest level in Canada. So their level won't be as great, and they probably won't be able to start in their first year. So there'll be development regardless. But I think having strong character and a good work ethic are really important. And so that's something that I really value and look for. It's hard to assess that. And so that's why I try and do my research and have recruits come out so we can see them in practice, see how they interact with the team, make sure it's a good fit. But yeah, I would say that's the number one thing.
As a head coach, what is it like seeing those freshmen put on that Winnipeg jersey for the first time?
I hope it's special for them. I remember my first time putting on the jersey and what that meant. This year, what I tried to implement was a passing of the torch ceremony, where the previous players from the university would give the new generation their jersey for the season. And then because we had a whole bunch of previous jerseys, the current players would give the old generation their jerseys that they played with, because I had like almost 200 jerseys. So there was like a jersey exchange. And I thought that was kind of a cool thing. And I hope that what that did is make it more special when they did put on that jersey, because it did come from someone, and then they have that special meaning attached to it.
Of course, as a head coach, what is it like seeing those seniors putting on that jersey for the last time, representing the school?
That was something actually that we just had. We just had our 5th year match, or graduating players match. And it was difficult. It was an emotional match for the guys, and we had a potluck dinner afterwards. But there's still a lot of season left. Like, we have our quarterfinals. Hopefully we can win that matchup next weekend. And after that, hopefully there's a couple more weekends. So yeah, I think it was difficult for them, and I just hope that, they can appreciate the entire time that they spent at the university. Because most of them will spend 5 or more years here.
What is that like, getting to see them going on and playing professional volleyball or getting into coaching after their playing career?
Because it's my first year here, I haven't had the experience of one of my athletes going overseas yet. We have a couple of guys who I think will do great overseas, so I'm trying to help them with that. When working with the Next Gen team, I did try and facilitate a little bit of their careers going from Canada overseas, so I kind of had that experience. But yeah, it'll be fun to over the years to try and get more and more athletes from the University of Winnipeg to go professionally.
What are some of your future plans for the Winnipeg volleyball program moving forward?
I have some ideas set out for where our program can get to, but I think just building off every season. So this year we're doing pretty well. But I'm hoping that over the next years we can continue to compete and continue to be strong in our league, and then we'll see where we end up. Right now, it's just going game by game, point by point, and then we'll reflect as a group afterwards and kind of see where we want to go. But with it being my first year, then I haven't thought so much about the possibilities.
What advice would you give those incoming freshmen entering their first year of college men's volleyball?
I would say the biggest thing is to have an open mind. Like I said, I don't know if anyone is really 100% ready when they're entering university. So have an open mind, try and soak up as much as possible, learn from the coach, learn from other players, and check your ego at the door. It's a difficult experience to come in and be vulnerable and to work on things, because people's performance will go down initially and then it'll go back up again. But if every time you're trying to learn, you're holding on to something else, then I think you're going to reach a plateau. So just having that open-mindedness and I think that's probably the biggest thing.
What advice would you give the college men's volleyball players looking to play professional volleyball after their playing career?
I would have them reach out to other people who played professionally, get insights from them. I'm in the process of publishing a book that will help people with their journeys. It'll share insights into my own experiences and other people's experiences to give them kind of a realistic outlook on what the professional life is like. It's not super glamorous. A lot of times not super enjoyable, but I think people will really benefit from that experience of going overseas and, getting to know themselves and getting to know the sport better. But I would say the biggest thing, first, read my book, which isn't out yet, but hopefully will be soon. And then second, talking to as many athletes that went overseas as possible, just so they can get those experiences and hopefully learn from them.
What advice would you give those college coaches and even head coaches looking to build their own men's volleyball program?
That's a good question. I would say to set a goal and break down the points to get to that goal. So whatever your situation is like, everything is going to be completely different. Always working towards something. Maybe reaching out to other coaches if they have problems, but I know every situation is different, and coaches will always know their team and their situation the best. So I would say to just work methodically so that they can build towards their final goal step by step.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the program at?
I'm on Instagram. That's probably the easiest one, at Chris Voth. I have a Facebook page, facebook.com/Vothster. And then if people have direct questions, they can just email me through my university email, which is on our website, wesmen.ca.
Thank you again, Coach Chris Voth, for your interview, and best luck in your future as the head men's volleyball coach at Winnipeg.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Chris, for your interview, and best luck in your future.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.